order the meeting of the
Commissioner Martin,
Present.
Commissioner Shelton,
Present.
Commissioner McCarty,
Present.
Commissioner Kiesling,
I'm present, I think.
and as Commissioner Abbott indicated that she probably was not going to
don't
be
see her
here. And then as Commissioner Tucker. Hey, Eric, can we see who are the attendees on the screen?
Sure. We got Brad Tucker, Bree Gregory, and Katz in the floor monitor.
Can you promote Brad Tucker?
He's been promoted.
Brad will need to accept the promotion though.
Okay, well, we'll note for the record that Brad Tucker, who is a non-voting member of the Redevelopment Commission, is there.
Yep, he's there now.
So we have a quorum.
Okay. First item on our agenda is discussion on the area for the potential residential TIF. We want to start with a report of presentation and discussion of the plan.
Please speak into the microphone.
Good.
Okay.
Very good.
We want to start with our
Lisa.
discussion on the area for the potential
Move it over.
residential development. I need a little lavalier.
That's what you missed.
Which the first item there is our report from our meeting with and discussion with the Plan Commission, which occurred on June. That's
7.
7th,
Seventh,
7th,
6 or 7?
Yes.
6.
6th or 7th.
7.
Where
Seventh.
we gave them kind of a brief overview of what we intended in terms of a potential residential TIF area. And we used some of the slides from the residential TIF conversation document that we had, that the planning department had prepared for us so that members of the Plan Commission could get some information about what we were doing. I am assuming that subsequently they have been given a copy of the residential TIF conversation document, which they had not had at that point. I think we had a pretty good discussion. There were quite a few questions. There were some issues raised with the suitability of the area regarding existing infrastructure that was there and what it would take to, that we would probably need to consider going along. There was also an interest in getting more information on exactly what we intended in terms of the development of the area, the kind of housing that we expected, how we might go about doing some of that, much of which was information that will not be known at this point in time, since we are simply investigating this. And our call was from them was to find out whether there were any real impediments to this being consistent with the comprehensive plan, which is the requirement that we have for creating a TIF. Bernie, who was on the Plan Commission and is a guest today, was at the meeting. He might want to add anything if you wanted to.
No, I'm not here.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Right. We can't hear
Step up to
you.
the mic. Yeah, it's okay.
That's usually the case.
And introduce yourself. please.
Bernie Garitas. Anyway, again, I'm not here as a member of the Plan Commission, just here to learn more because I wasn't expecting the presentation and some of the documents weren't out, but you know, the Wall Street Journal article, I'll just repeat it, I think brought to light several items that I think are important. One of the comments that came up that, you know, one of the things that we need to look at, I think, as a community, when we're looking at this, the factor of cost for development is land, right? And so if we can increase the supply of land, we can decrease some of those costs, I think.
Right.
And so I think that we need to maybe look at that. And as a person on the Plan Commission, I think that we should really look at trying to find ways to make some of our development standards more affordable.
Yeah.
So essentially that's it, but I'm really just here to learn some things.
Okay.
I'm glad you took the opportunity to come and speak, Rich.
Yep. Well, you can convey back to them that if there are any more questions, we'll be glad to engage.
Very good.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Thank
step
you.
away.
Thank you. All right. Colin, did you have any comments since you were at the meeting as well?
Yeah, just a couple. I think, yes, great discussion, I thought, and a lot of things were kicked around. And one thing that I thought that I heard from Margaret Clements, and maybe not in passing, but I thought I heard something about the affordability issue that, you know, we may be beyond it. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I thought that comment was made that, you know, as we look to this, this idea, is it really going to be feasible? Are we past that point of affordable housing? I don't know, again, if I heard that right, I think I did, but if I didn't, I'm happy to be corrected, but I think that that brings up a great point. And, you know, with the Fed going up 75 basis points today, or electing to, on rates, we don't know what the impact that's going to have on housing and the rest of the economy as they're trying to cool down inflation. I think there's just a lot of wheels in motion, but it's certainly worth keeping discussion and trying to identify what points that we can, as a commission, contribute to that. I think that's the biggest challenge. Yeah.
Well, I think you're correct that there was some skepticism about whether affordability is even attainable at this point. And certainly that depends on how you define affordable.
That's right.
And
Right.
some of the numbers I was using, I mean, sometimes people don't have the 25-year TIF perspective when we start talking about this, so that our notion of affordability today might be different 10 years from now or 15 years from now. And we don't know how the economy is going to work, particularly locally, to know what's going to be affordable at that point in time and what we can do. So I think getting the information and doing the examination now and thinking about how we can meaningfully provide opportunities for the future, that's the charge that we have at this point in time. And the other thing that has come up, I think, since then, you've had some discussions with Steve Kreider. And if we have significant changes in the cost of doing our proposed project, then they may be less reluctant to split some of this TIF out, which would make it more difficult to meet that obligation. So we have that is another thing which is in play here that we're going to have to be very careful about. Yes. What do you see as our next step here?
Well, I think we've got a few. I guess I'm reaching out. I reached out to the school because one of the requirements is that we talk and meet with the superintendent of the school as well as some of the board members. So he's been on vacation or not. MCCSC's superintendent. Vacations are the wrong word.
Because I can't hear you there. I'm having trouble hearing.
I apologize.
That's not all you.
The vacation's not the right word. He's been out of the office.
Right.
And so I'm going to try to touch base with him by the end of the month to try to figure out scheduling and having that conversation with the school. So I think that's definitely one of the next steps. I'm also going to work with planning to identify any potential homeowners associations or neighborhoods that would be affected by this, because that's another requirement that we talk with them and we get input from them. So I think from one perspective, I think those are two of our next steps.
Right.
I did speak with Steve Kreider, mostly about, I met with him in the BEDC to talk about some of the things that they're seeing coming through the market. It was much more of a, hey, here's the outside of this residential TIF conversation kind of items. But at one of the things they had mentioned at the Plan Commission meeting was availability of water and things like that. And-
Right.
And so he thought that there was, that actually they had to lessen the water in that area. So, but he knows that's an issue that was brought up and is looking into it. And so I think making sure that all those utilities, especially the water utility, is there is another item that we really need to do. I also think at some level, we need to do some kind of forecasting on revenue. How long, much like what Steve Smith has shown, how long is this going to take to develop into lots? And then how long is it going to take for those lots to develop? What do we think the average assessed value for those is, so we can get an idea of what kind of revenue streams we'll be looking at. And then at least for the northern part of what we discussed with the Plan Commission, which was what is currently in the State Road 46 corridor TIF, as well as what's in that northern area, getting some estimates on what that infrastructural cost, because I think we need to have a thought on revenue and expenses prior to moving forward and creating
Yes,
area.
very much so.
So I think those are the next steps: meet with the school, meet with neighborhoods, as well as starting to try to figure out what's a reasonable timeline for build out of that area.
Well, Richard, I think it confirmed some things that we already knew what Steve was talking about, and I think that was helpful that way. I came back with, where can we make that TIF investment that would have the longevity that we need and most effective in terms of potential costs involvement for
Right.
the homeowners. That found very frustrating, trying to think about that.
Most bang for the buck. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, because but the water issue, that's a big one.
Mhm.
And no water, no development, period.
That's right. Well,
Hey, Richard, this is Jim. If I could pipe in, I was there too. And one of the things that I think is going to be critical to getting approval from the commissioners when we need it is addressing the issue that Commissioner Thomas brought up, and which was brought up many times in considerations of developments like Tom Winninger's development, Southern Meadows. How can we guarantee that whatever we do won't just increase the profits of the developer? Or even if it's not the developer, once the developer sells the place, the next buyer, it may not be affordable to anybody else afterwards.
Yep.
Right. Yes, no, that,
It seems to me vaguely that at one point, Lisa Abbott said that they had done some of that kind of stuff at the city level. So I wish she'd have been here today, but anyhow, we're going to have an answer to that eventually.
yeah, and that issue is quite a bit different than it is in commercial properties where
Correct.
there isn't
Yes,
turnover
right.
in the same way that there is a potential for turnover in the residential properties. So,
And I would just say, I've spoken with Lisa about it, and I don't have it in front of me, but I think she had pointed out to a couple of covenants that the city had used when they were doing some of these types of projects.
Yeah.
right.
And so we could certainly look at those. And
That'd be a good way to give us a guidance to where we should go.
Okay, so we should be looking for a meeting with MCCSC sometime in the next couple of months, perhaps.
hopefully,
Okay, and then you're going to start thinking about how we would do our estimates of revenue and expense for that northern area.
Richard, does RBB need to be involved also? I know there's not much property there, but they're bursting at the seams and,
Well, none of the areas that we have on target are in their school district.
right,
And that's because we are essentially limited to Bloomington Township
right.
by the requirements of the statute for residential TIFs.
And I certainly think that RBB, Commissioner Tucker is a member of their school board, and I'm sure he's taking this message back, and
Right.
I would encourage
Because
him.
eventually it could affect them too, because we may want to move over a little bit farther than we are dealing with
Well,
now.
I think it could affect them because if we build
Right,
a nice residential area right here, it could spread into,
right.
because we're not talking very far, the lines. kind of-
Line's right there.
Right.
So it certainly could affect
Yes,
them as well. So it's nice to have him on board and
Mhm.
That's good.
right. Right. Okay, so I think we have some things we're going to do. Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, yeah, there's,
I don't know what's in the chat. Oh, yes, something. I can't read it. Can you, Colin?
Sam
Uh,
Dove just says, hi, Jim.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
well, hi, Jim. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just, yes, yes.
All right.
All right. Next on our agenda are minutes. Did you send us out minutes?
Yes,
I
you
did.
did. And I
Yes.
have them.
Okay.
And I
Pretty
need to,
carefully.
I need to make sure that Commissioner Kiesling's name is
It's only
spelled
misspelled
correctly.
in the
and consistently.
First paragraph, otherwise it's fine. And I moved that we approve the minutes. I don't recall seeing anything that I did not agree
Okay.
with.
I second, I thought they were very extensive.
Yeah, that was very helpful.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the May meeting. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelton,
Yes,
Commissioner McCarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Kiesling.
Yes,
Motion is approved 4-0.
Okay. Moving on to claims. We have claims this month totaling $589,892.42, which are two claims for DLZ, which is work on, one for work on Profile Parkway, the other for work on the Vernal Pike project. And then we also have three debt service payments that are actually made through Old National Bank on our existing and outstanding bonds. Does anybody have any questions about any of these?
I would just have one comment. When I noticed, I think it's the 183,650, when I noticed what we have in our reserve fund compared to that is the 2013 bond, which is paid off at the end of next year. I think we have enough in our debt reserve fund to cover the final payments, next
Okay,
year's payments. So I've asked Financial Solutions Group to kind of give us some instruction on how we should proceed with that.
if you can give us some specific information about that at the next meeting.
Okay.
We can
Send it to
get a
us.
proposal about what we want to do with
Mhm.
revenue coming in, which would otherwise be dedicated to that.
exactly.
Yeah, I think our debt reserve fund is set up to pay the last year, and that's the last year. So
Mhm.
Okay,
it's there. So
okay. All right, good. Thank you. All right. Do we have a motion for the approval of the claims?
So
I
moved.
move approval of the claims.
Jim, you want a second?
Second,
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the claims. Jeff, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelton,
yes,
Commissioner McCarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Kiesling.
Yes,
Motion is approved 4-0.
Okay.
a lot of money.
Do we have any public comment? Staff comment? Lisa?
They just left.
Okay. I have a question for you. Since they haven't seen this, but I did. I did the affidavit for the payment on the Profile Parkway
Thank you.
to Kreider for 226,000. Does that complete that project?
It should be, yeah, they finished the final punch list items is what we were waiting for. So
So,
it should be pretty well complete.
okay. What happens to so they gave us a bid for this. They are under bid by a significant amount. Do we need to do anything as a result of that to close out the project so we don't owe them anything, or how do you work that?
Well, Jeff,
I think, let me talk to Lisa to
yeah,
make sure it's final.
Okay.
yeah, I can't, there's really, I mean,
Because
that's all we really had left, but then I don't want to say it's closed out because we're still waiting to close out Hurt Street.
yeah, I mean, I'd want to make sure that
Yes.
they think it's done as well.
Well, what I'm trying to do is to put a burr under somebody's saddle so we don't end up in the Hart Street situation.
Mhm.
If we're done, we're done. Let's close it.
Yeah, and I did just talk to Jeff Kreider about that Monday on the Hart Street.
Okay,
And he takes total blame and just said he starts to work on it and something else comes up. So
Well-
he said he would be getting it to us.
okay, good. So if he
And I'll
doesn't,
check on the payment for
Right.
Profile Parkway.
so we want to make sure that we're not sitting out there with these
Yep.
things hanging out.
I'll reach out to our construction inspector and stuff.
Because it's not normal that it's significantly under.
Yeah,
the
that is
bid.
very true.
Yeah. Okay, and I know there's other work that's being done out there, so it's hard to tell who's doing
Most
what.
of it's not us. A lot of it's the development that's going on out
Yeah,
there.
that's what I thought was happening out there. All right, so we have no staff comment, commissioners comment. Let me start with Jim. Mr. Shelton, do you have any comments?
I have just a question to Lisa. How is the roundabout coming out on the west side? Is that thing going okay?
Knock on wood, everything is going okay. Woodyard Road on the east side is supposed to open around the 27th. And then the west side will stay closed until November. But everything seems going quite well. No complaints. We have a progress meeting every 2 weeks on that project. So it's still on target to be done in November.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
That's all for me.
Okay. Colin, anything from you?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, Iris?
I just have one comment, actually, something with not, well, sort of related to us. I went to a program for Lake Monroe watershed management, and they had like an hour and a half presentation. I brought the book back, but I have one for him, and one for you, and maybe one for you, but because I only got 5 left, but I have one of my own. But there's also a short version of it, and they're setting up a fund. But it's very nice because it's, and I hope the public will start looking at this because it really shows
All right,
shows the drainage way that we all know what it is, but people don't know that necessarily, and what some of the issues that are coming up that are going to be problematic, like won't be able to have good water unless we do something about maintaining that watershed. So, and I think some people are starting to talk to the other counties which drain into Monroe, which would be.
yes, they have a program for Brown County and they have another one for Jackson County
Right,
coming
right.
up.
And I've done that when I was county commissioner. We did it, and I think Norm Anderson was president of the council of the commissioners. And we went to a couple of the commissioner meetings of the other counties.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think all those gentlemen or women, whichever may be the case, probably men, are no longer there, but maybe we need to reach out. And if you're out there talking to some of those folks, I think we need to engage them to be part of whatever is happening so that we can be in progress. Because even right now, the water is pretty low, and that's going to be a problem. That's all I really have right now,
Okay,
Richard.
and I think all my comments were with regard to the residential TIF issue, so I think
Yeah.
we are done. Anything else from anybody? Not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved, second.
Second.
Moved.
We have a
second,
motion
second.
and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Aye, leave.
Get up and leave. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you all for coming today.
Thanks all. Bye.